Hello, everyone. Ankita and me are back, and we
Hi.
are going to do Kerala HSST. Which topics today, Ankita?
So yesterday we did British literature. So today we will be focusing on questions from American and Indian literatures.
Ta-da-dang, that is exciting. Are there many excellent authors and works covered here today?
Yes, very major authors, works, and authors which have actually who have redefined American and Indian literatures, who have given classics, world classics. So yes.
Excellent. And you know, Ankita, today we started HSST crash course. And
Yes.
people are joining. We will be covering every day there will be classes except Sundays. And we are covering all the topics, not only in live revision, but also in the form of quizzes and model tests. And we are determined that in our HSST main course and in crash course, lots of people should pass.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we go. Shall we look into the first question?
Yes.
Which of the following statements is true about Tagore's Gitanjali? The poet asserts that God is only accessible through the complete renunciation of the physical world. No, Tagore did not talk about complete renunciation ever. He gave value to the physical world. That is very important. The poems suggest that the divine remains entirely transcendent and unreachable. That is also not true. He did not believe that the divine is beyond our reach. No. The poet views the finite body as an impediment, means obstacle. I don't think that's also wrong. I know, I think that's also wrong. The poet emphasizes that the infinite divine gains realization through the love and devotion of the finite human soul. Maybe that is correct. The poet
Yes.
emphasizes that the infinite divine gains realization through the love and devotion of the finite human soul. So
Yes.
Gitanjali verses 1 to 20 or something is prescribed in HSST. Is it 1 to 10 or 20? And Gitanjali, as you know, got Nobel Prize. Tagore got Nobel Prize for Gitanjali. 1 to 20 of Gitanjali is prescribed. So it is first published by Macmillan, and this is one of the pioneering works of Indian literature that we need to study. Anything more, Ankita?
Okay, so here this idea of the devotee becomes very important because generally in Western traditions we have seen that God is shown as the ultimate figure, right? But here Tagore believes that it is the devotee, it is the devotion of the devotee which makes God God. Only because there is a human on this earth who is praying to God. This prayer, this love, this devotion makes God the God. And it's a very beautiful idea of Tagore in this
Yeah, and
collection
also,
of
yeah,
verses.
and also Tagore is using the Vaishnava tradition of Bhakti
Mhm.
poetry. Tagore is talking about himself or the devotee as the beloved and
Hmm.
God as the lover. And union with God is
Yes.
analogous to the uh, romantic union. Right.
And
Akita?
this tradition was started by Mirabai, and it is very important that here we have seen that in this Vaishnavite tradition, even if the speaker is a man, they deliberately imagine themselves as a woman in their union of Lord the God. And that's why this union is often given an erotic angle because it has been seen that even the male speakers during the moment of union with the Lord, they imagine themselves as a woman figure, and that gives this union between the Lord and the devotee an erotic dimension. Yes. Okay.
Okay,
uh,
next question.
huh. Which of the following statements best analyzes the nature of the mock trial that is staged by the amateur theatre group in Vijay Tendulkar's play Silence, the Court is in Session? It's a very important play by Tendulkar, the famous Marathi playwright. So, what is this function of the mock trial here? It is a harmless, entertaining game that unexpectedly turns tragic due to the personal failings of the characters. No, it is not really harmless. Next, it is a conscious, structured performance designed to critique the inefficiency of the Indian judicial system. No, this play is not really attacking the Indian judicial system, so option B is wrong. Option C, it is a meta-theatrical tool employed to expose patriarchal voyeurism, moral hypocrisy, and the collective desire to discipline female autonomy. Sounds correct, because here Leela Benare, she is attacked for an illegitimate pregnancy, right? Last option, it is a dramatic device to highlight the incompetence of rural administration. No, nothing like that. So here the mock trial is actually shows the performative nature of justice, right? And it actually exposes the very cruel face of the social structure where only the women are blamed. Professor Damle was also responsible for this pregnancy, but nowhere was he blamed or critiqued for it. It was Leela Benare uh, whose character was almost torn apart for being pregnant before getting married.
Yes, that's an excellent explanation. Which of the following best describes the artistic thematic function of the savage old mother or the sea in the final section of Walt Whitman's Out of the Cradle, Endlessly Rocking? So he refers to the savage old mother. It represents the destructive force that finally kills the male mockingbird. No, no, no. The male mockingbird is not even killed. It acts as the ultimate muse, providing the crucial unifying word depth that unlocks the speaker's poetic voice. I think that's right. It symbolizes the indifference of nature. No, nature is not indifferent. It serves as literal physical boundary, separating the poet from his childhood memories at Paumanok. No, two is the answer. The sea whispers the word death on the Paumanok beach when the poet or the boy is wondering what is the reason for this suffering. Why is the male bird, crying so much for the female? The sea whispers to him death, that word. So that unlocks the speaker's poetic voice. With that, the speaker becomes a poet. So this poem belongs to birth of the poet genre. Ankita, next question.
In Ralph Waldo Emerson's Self-Reliance, what does the author specifically characterize as a hobgoblin of little minds that restricts personal growth and genius? So we have to remember Ralph Waldo Emerson was a transcendentalist philosopher, a philosophy which believed in the innate goodness of man, right? And self-reliance is one of the major texts of this philosophy. So here, what is that hobgoblin of little minds, according to Emerson, which stunts the growth of a person? Is it absolute individual reliance on past traditions? No. Is it strict obedience to religious institutions? Not exactly. Next, a foolish consistency to past actions or thoughts. Yes, that's the exact line that Emerson uses. The necessity of travel for self culture, not at all. So here he says that if you are just trying to be consistent, just for being consistent and sticking yourself constantly to old thoughts and what is already past, that's a hobgoblin of little minds that will never let you think about the future, what lies ahead of you. And the main idea of this essay is trust your intuition, trust your inner voice, rely on yourself, your innate goodness. That's the major idea of this essay.
Yeah, and as Emerson's own famous phrase goes, trust thyself. That is what he says in American Scholar, I think. In Kamala Das's poem, My Grandmother's House, what does the speaker mean when she says that she has lost her way and begs now at strangers' doors to receive love? What does she mean? Does she mean that she is literally lost while trying to return? No. Is she searching for the pure, unconditional love that she lost after her grandmother's death? I guess so. She has become a street beggar. No, 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 no. She's asking strangers to buy. No, this is fun. It is two, option two. Okay, Ankita, next.
Yes. Okay. Which of the following critical interpretations here best describes the resolution of Mulk Rajanan's untouchable, specifically regarding the three options which are presented to Bakha at the end of the novel? We know that Untouchable was the debut novel of Mulk Rajanan, and towards the end of this novel, Bakha is presented with three options to end this untouchability. The first option was Gandhian reform, second was religious equality, and third was a technological flush system that would end this entire system of manual scavenging. These three options were presented to Bakha towards the very end. So, what is the implication of these three possible options? It presents a Marxist solution where Bakha leads a violent revolution against the upper castes. No, he doesn't lead any revolution, nothing. It advocates for complete assimilation into Western Christian culture, represented by Colonel Hutchinson. No, there is nothing like that. Next, it highlights the limitation of Gandhian reform, suggesting that social change is slow and the struggle for dignity is long, rather than providing an easy solution. Sounds correct. Lastly, it suggests that Gandhi's path of nonviolent resistance is the immediate, effective solution to ending the caste system. No, this novel shows a very realistic picture of this entire caste system. It's a slow process, nothing will happen overnight, right? The lived experiences of Bakha and his sufferings, right? His humiliation of his and his family members, of his entire community, it will not go away in a single day, right? So the process is slow, the battle is long. That's what these three options suggest.
Thank you very much. So, HSST crash course has begun today. You might have watched the YouTube live because I went live, or if you did not watch, you can check it out. We will be revising module wise papers 1 and 2, and we will give you topic wise quizzes. We will also give you this thing, a model test. It is not very expensive or anything. None of our courses is expensive in the real sense of the word. All our courses are highly packed. They are quite rich and they are big courses. And you will be getting so much more than what you pay for. We are providing you with extensively rich courses that will help you pass many exams. You buy one course at Vallath and that will help you pass many exams. I can confidently tell you this. On April 5th, that is 3 days from now, we are starting an amazing program on creative thinking and writing. This is not to become poets or novelists, but even to succeed in professional life, even for basic communication in this age of AI. How will you think and how will you maintain your originality? How will you creatively express yourself and get the most of language? That is what this magical workshop will unlock you for. Dr. Asajit Datta is extremely good at this, and he is very good at technology. He has taken courses on digital humanities also here. It is Ankita who connected Vallath to this amazing personality. And I invite all of you to join this course. The dates are a little wrong here. We start on April 5, but that's okay. It is only on weekends and Saturdays and Sundays for 4 days. And what is most amazing about it is only 500 rupees. So in order to book your seats, you can use this QR code. You can just Google Vallath also, and you will get the link if you want to. How to Imagine, Story Worlds, The Art of Attention and Distraction, Why Think and Why Write. These are the titles of the 4 sessions. But I am telling you, Dr. Asajit Datta has done several courses at Vallath, and each one of them was exceptionally good. So this is only 500 rupees. Obviously, I am not saying this to make money. I am only saying this because more number of people can benefit from this brilliant workshop. Okay, thank you very much. Now let us move on. Ankita, over to you.
In I felt a funeral in my brain. What does the breaking of the plank in reason broke? It's a line from this poem. Plank in reason broke. What does this line mean from this poem? Does it refer to the death of a loved one, or the speaker's physical collapse, or the total loss of sanity and consciousness of the speaker, or the speaker's relief from anxiety? If we look at the title itself, I felt a funeral. Funeral is something which is performed after a person's death, right? It signifies an end, a collapse, right? So here I felt a funeral, comma, in my brain. So this pause also in the title, it marks a profound moment of the self, a self which confronts the limits of reason, a self which finally confronts the limits of reason. So here, plank in reason broke. This breaking of reason, it alludes to the total loss of sanity and consciousness. Option C is correct. And it's a very profound philosophical idea which even Georges Bataille discussed about in his work, Inner Experience. That what does it mean to the self to reach a point where the self gets confounded at the limits of a reason, at the limits of sanity. Georges Bataille talked about it in his work, Inner Experience. That's a philosophical treatise. And here, option C is the correct answer.
Wow, what a beautiful poem, isn't it? And to
Yes.
imagine that she wrote it in the 19th century. Wow.
And that pause in the title, I felt a
Yes.
funeral, the comma, that pause is very profound.
At the start of the novella, The Old Man and the Sea, how many days has Santiago gone without catching a fish? That is clear from the very first line itself. It is 84 days. Santiago is a Cuban fisherman, and he is catching this fish finally after 3 days at sea, and he's fighting death and bringing it back home. And this shows the Hemingway hero's grit. It shows his indomitable will to succeed in life. He can be destroyed but not defeated. Yeah. Ankita, can you do this?
Huh. In Dance Like a Man, how does Mahesh Dattani critically subvert traditional gender roles regarding art and masculinity? Dance Like a Man, it's a very complex play which critically comments on uh, who gets to decide that who can do what, right? So how does Dattani subvert these gender roles here? By portraying Jairaj as a weak, unsuccessful dancer who ultimately accepts a traditional masculine corporate job. No, he never accepts any corporate job, so it's wrong. By illustrating that Ratna's artistic success is entirely dependent on her submission to Amritlal's patriarchal authority, that's also extreme, entirely dependent, wrong. By arguing that Bharatnatyam is fundamentally a feminine art form that cannot be authentically performed by men, not at all, nothing like that. Lastly, by showing that both men and women can be victims of social expectations, where Jairaj is emasculated for dancing, while Ratna is compelled to use manipulative masculine power dynamics to succeed. It just shows that what society does to you, how all genders can be victims of the cruel tactics of this social structure. That's what this play is about. So option D is the correct answer.
Excellent. What critical perspective best explains the ultimate failure of Ramaswamy and Madeline's marriage in The Serpent and the Rope? So, The Serpent and the Rope is a very good novel by Raja Rao. It is very philosophical, and it came many years after Kantapura. It is Ramaswamy is a representation of Raja Rao himself. What does the ultimate failure of Ramaswamy and Madeline's marriage show? That is the question. Their failure to achieve economic stability in France, no. Their irreconcilable cultural differences and differing perceptions of spiritual reality. Maybe because Ramaswamy is Brahminical Hindu and Madeline becomes a Buddhist. So their expectations of each other are very different. Madeline is very independent in her religion, while Ramaswamy seeks Madeline to be the Ardhanarishwara, like the other half he wants her to be. So that is the answer. Madeline's refusal to accept Rama is not right. The interference of external familial pressure is also not right. Ankita.
In Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, what is the most critical symbolic significance of the raven perching upon the bust of Pallas Athena, just above the chamber door? So we see that the raven is perching upon this bust of Pallas Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom. So what is this imagery telling you? This raven perching up on the bust of Pallas, right? It signifies the raven's appreciation for narrator's classical education and wisdom. No. Option B. It represents the triumph of irrational, uncontrollable grief over irrational thought and sanity. Sounds correct? It suggests that the raven is a divine messenger sent to provide comfort and wisdom to the narrator. No. Divine messenger? Absolutely not. Lastly, it indicates that the bird is a figment of the narrator's imagination, as Athena is a goddess. It doesn't make sense. So option B is correct. Here, this bird, the raven, can also be seen as the projection of the author's own subconscious despair. But again, the perching of this raven on the bust of Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom, it shows the triumph, the victory of grief over rational thought and sanity. Because here we see that the speaker, the student character, is lamenting the loss of his beloved Lenore, and how the bird constantly says nevermore, nevermore, and how it plunges the speaker into madness. So, how grief, uncontrollable grief, wins over rational thought and sanity.
How beautifully you have described. I'm so proud of you, Ankita. Now, one more question. How does Nathaniel Hawthorne's use of scaffold scenes function structurally and thematically to critique Puritan ideology? Ankita, what are scaffold scenes?
Scaffold where the protagonists, they're put on that bamboo wala structure in front of all the people, and they're made to
It is like a
confess.
platform. There are two
Yes.
times that they are standing on it. They illustrate the character's progression from hidden sin to public redemption and the normalization of Hester's defiance. I think that is the answer. They serve only to highlight the shame. No. They show Chillingworth's eventual conversion to compassionate figure. No. They represent the increasing empowerment of Puritan law. Not at all. The character's progression from hidden sin to public redemption and the normalization of Hester's defiance. It is human. What she has done is human. There is nothing so evil about it. That idea. Ankita, you've got a long question.
In Girish Karna's Nagamandala, the prologue features a man who is the playwright and who is forced to stay awake, witnessing a story taking the form of a young woman and a song which becomes her sari. How does this frame narrative critically interact with the inner play which talks about the life of Arani? right? So, how does this frame narrative critically interact with the inner play according to feminist and post colonial interpretations? So, here we will be looking at this interaction of the frame narrative and the play, the inner play of Rani from feminist and post colonial perspectives. So, it emphasizes that Indian folk tales are inherently misogynistic. No, that's very wrong. Next, it highlights the meta-theatrical nature of truth, suggesting that the story, that is Rani's life, is an autonomous creation, independent of its creator, thus challenging patriarchal control over female narrative. Let's see. Uh, Option C, it serves merely as a device to introduce the supernatural elements, not at all. It provides a realistic backdrop to 20th century rural Indian setting, again, no. So here option B is the correct answer. Here it shows the autonomy of Rani's life. Here it is not controlled by patriarchal norms, but it is autonomous, free to take its own course along the play.
Yeah. So that's all about our HSST quiz for today. Please tell your friends, and you can also join the crash course if you're interested. We will have great learning together. There are many other courses that are running: the Karnataka PSC Assistant Professor Exam, the Kerala Assistant Professor Exam, and then we have AP Assistant Professor Exam coming up. All these are great platforms. And please join our creative thinking and creative writing workshop. It will be a great investment, just 500 rupees, just like not even as expensive as two biryanis, but it will change your life sometimes by opening your mind. And in this world where everybody is using AI, where do you stand and what do you do? Please take it seriously and join this course. Thank you. Ankita, thank you very much. This is a great session that we had, and we'll be back with more tomorrow. Thank you.